guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to cover a topic that we all struggle with as content creators. Whether you are an artist, a dancer, an actor, or an author, and that is managing social media and marketing. It is definitely one of the toughest things that I've had to tackle as a creative mind. Anyway, so here are some of the things that I've learned. Just as a disclaimer, this is not professional advice, it's just what I've learned through trial and error. Alrighty, here we go. Alright, so tip number one, which is quality and professionalism. So are you being professional on your platforms, and are you offering quality content? What I mean by this is, are you posting pictures that are grainy, that look like crap? What do your videos look like? How is your lighting? Be professional and definitely offer something with quality. I mean, when you post something on your social media platforms, are you finding typos in it? So, I mean, I guess speaking, for myself, I am an indie author, but also at the same time, when my book is published, it is going onto platforms like Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Google has like a book thing, iTunes does, and these are mainstream professional platforms. So being an indie author isn't an excuse not to have quality or professional content. So definitely check that out if you are curious to maybe why you aren't getting the engagement you want. Another thing to look at is how consistent are you with your content? Are you only posting once a week? Granted, there are schedules you can look up for various platforms that give, the best times to post things. But yeah, definitely consistency is also key. And, I understand that, social media and marketing can be very frustrating, especially if you don't have any sort of formal education in, handling them. But in today's digital age, they're essential. If you want to build your name or any sort of brand, marketing and social media are just a must. And it's definitely a game of trial and error, because just because something works for one person doesn't mean that it's going to work for everyone. But at the same time, personally speaking, I try and look at people who are making it work, and I try and emulate the habits of people who are successful, and I think that helps a lot. So the second topic I'd like to cover is the numbers game. And what I mean by this is followers and subscribers, and yes, this is definitely a challenging part of creating and sustaining a social media. So I'd like to cover two things. One, what I've learned works, and what I've learned, probably won't work for anyone because it's kind of crap. First, the negative. No tea, no shade, but something I don't think works are groups that are themed follow for follow. And essentially, these are platforms where people join, whether it's for Instagram or YouTube. I've experienced both. And it's just a bunch of people who rapidly post their links, and they expect a follow for a follow. And why I think this is flawed is because there are all sorts of different content creators on the sites, whether you're an artist, an author, etc. They're just content creators looking to build their numbers. And this takes me back to an old saying that, quality over quantity. And from my experience, I noticed that, I would get maybe some followers on Instagram, but, personally for me, I would rather just follow people's content that I'm personally interested in. And I noticed that people, if they're just out for numbers, you're probably not going to get any engagement from them, especially if they're not into what you do. If they're not into what you're singing, if they're not into what you're writing, if they're not into your dancing, you're just going to end up with a bunch of numbers, and most likely some of them are only going to be temporary. So again, this goes back to my first point, quality. Personally, I would rather have 50 people join my Instagram who are into what I'm doing, who love books, Japanese animation, and geeky stuff, because I know I'm going to get engagement from them, versus people who are just kind of out for themselves, and they just kind of want to join your Instagram or your YouTube because they think that they're going to get something in return. If you really want to build a quality social media and sustain something of quality, you definitely need engagement. And that'll lead me to my next point of something that I have learned, the positive. So my advice for success, and granted, I'm not a professional and one size does not fit all, but I think it's important to be patient, because this is a game of trial and error, and it's very frustrating at times. So definitely be patient, be persistent, and be flexible. You got to get creative, and you have to find your voice, because I think without that, you are going to struggle to find an audience. You have to find something that is going to resonate with the people who you want to buy your product or whatever you're marketing. But yeah, that's important, definitely. And just as a tip, something that I learned about Instagram recently. This tip tracks back to engagement. So if you want to get, you have to give a little bit. And this is something I've learned for Instagram. I recently learned that the algorithm of the app is a little bit more in your favor if you engage with other people's content. And I know this probably sounds pretty obvious, but I recently started liking posts, liking people's comments, and talking a bit more, and this has actually increased my followers. So if you do this, you will probably have some success with it as well. Alright, well finally I would like to share a concept that has resonated with me when building my brand, and that is know, like, and trust. And what I mean by this is you want to be your authentic self and share parts of yourself when building your brand and your social media. And by being a good person, you hope that people will like you. And this goes back to quality and professionalism. So if you offer those things, people will trust you. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of my ideas. What have you done that has either succeeded or failed when it came to social media or marketing? I'd definitely like to hear some tips and maybe some things that I haven't mentioned myself. Alright, well, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that ring. Alright, well, I'm gonna have you edit this. Hit that bell for notifications, and I will catch you guys later. Bye.